So today we are going to be doing our CV axles, and that's going to be the same procedure on both left and right side. We're going to start by jacking up the car, putting it on stand safely, get this tire off, and then we'll start dismantling our wheel hub and everything. So let's go ahead and get started. With the tire off, our next step is going to be removing our brake caliper here. So it's removing these two bolts in the back. Once we get these two bolts off, we have these two mounting bolts for our bracket that holds this together. Next we'll be taking that off. So let's go ahead and remove these two bolts, hang up our caliper to the side, and then we'll go ahead and get this bracket removed right after that. With the brake caliper bracket and caliper itself off, next is it's going to be the little things. So this side ABS sensor comes out. When our ABS sensor comes out, we're also going to make sure that none of our brake lines, hoses, or anything are attached on this side. Once we get that all taken off and settled, next is going to be getting the center bolt off. You can lock this into place with a crowbar going like this to the ground, holding it in place. You can use an impact wrench, something that's super strong, to really knock this loose. That's probably what I'm going to be doing, is using my impact gun. So let's go ahead and continue on and get this all situated out. As you see here, I used my impact gun. I was able to remove the bolt just a little here. This makes it to where now when I start taking all this stuff apart, I can start pulling all this out. But now with that bolt off here, let's go ahead and this bolt here removed and these two bolts here removed. And if we need to, we'll do this one, but for now, let's just go ahead and get the ones we can started. And we're not switching out these things yet, my tie rods or anything like that, so we're going to hold this part down with the wrench as we wrench this one off. So let's go ahead and get that started. So we have this nut here backed off. Again, I'm not going to be using any ball joint separators or anything like that, so just going to good old-fashioned hammer it, knocks it right out of the pen. I'm just going to dangle this all out of the way. We want to be very careful because fucking with this stuff too much will mess up your alignment. So I'm going to go ahead and pull all this off to the side and then get these bolts here started. As soon as I get these two bolts started, this all should pull away from here. And then we're going to place our jack here just right underneath the control arm, because this thing's probably going to want to drop down and we just don't want to deal with the weight and the force of trying to get that back up if there is any. So let's go ahead and take these two bolts off, and we'll place our floor jack underneath the wheel hub before we get pull back the rest of it. So I got my jack supported underneath. You can always put a piece of wood underneath, whatever it is that you need. Here I got my bolts loose. I'm just going to take a hammer and knock these out. They seem pretty nice and stuck in there. But as soon as I take that hammer and knock this out, this should all mostly be free. So once I do that started, we're going to pick up right there. So I have one bolt here. I have a bolt on the inside right there. And on the other side, as you'll see, another bolt right there. We're going to take off those three bolts, and that should just be all this here. So it makes it to where this should be able to pop out with a little bit of force behind it. So let's go ahead and see. Then all off, it looks like this just pulls right out. I don't have to force it or do anything crazy. So let's go ahead and set this off to the side. And then let's get this all cleaned up around here. And let's get the new one put on. So here we have new piece. And basically we're gonna put it on the same way with that heat shield, the way it was on. Just boom. Sorry. Boom. And as soon as we put this on like this, we'll go ahead, thread some of the bolts through to hold this in place, and then we'll start attaching our wheel hub. So let's go ahead and get started. Just gonna go ahead and these two bolts like that. You're gonna know the way it goes because it's gonna have the brake caliper slot like that. And then we need two hands for this next part, but let's go ahead and put our wheel bearing and everything on, but we're gonna make sure it's all cleaned and surfaces are all good and go. So I went ahead and got everything started. Got bolt on this side done, bolt on this side done. About to get the top bolt started. We're not going to put them in with the wrench or the gun or anything like that. We're going to thread them in by hand all the way. Once we get them threaded in by hand, then we're going to hit them with the wrench because we want to make sure that we don't cross thread anything. So let's go ahead and get this last bolt situated, and then we'll tighten it across this way, then the top. So with all this disconnected, we're going to let that drop. Pull that off so that hangs like that. And then next is going to be getting underneath there, and we're gonna get a crowbar and we're gonna put it all the way back there between the transmission housing and our CV axle. So let's get underneath there and let's see how we're gonna get this together. So here underneath the car, sorry about the angle, it's gonna be our CV axle. Now in the back, you'll see it going into the transmission housing. It's hard to get a good angle on that. All I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stick a pry bar in between the CV axle and the transmission housing, and it's held in by a little retainer pin, and you have to force it out to break it free. So you're just gonna use some force, don't be afraid. Use the transmission housing as leverage, use anything you got as leverage, and then we're just gonna use that way so we can break it free. And you'll know when you break it free because it will make a loud click thucking sound, and then the CV axle will start to pop out. And let's go ahead and get this started. Again, this is our passenger side. The driver's side is going to be inside of the transmission housing completely to where it's probably going to leak some transmission fluid. So let's go ahead and get this started. So as you can see, I got it out. I pried on it a few times. I couldn't get into a good enough angle because we are down on the ground. We're not lifted up on a hoist or anything. So I just grabbed the end of it and just pulled a few good times and it yanked right out. So we've got our new one set up. I'm gonna go ahead and get that one situated into place. And as soon as we get that one situated into place, we'll push it back real hard, get it locked into place with the pins that are on there, and we'll start getting it put back together. So just a couple really good pushes sets you back up into place. Now, as you can see, everything's nice and set. I'm gonna go ahead and take this bolt off so we can get this placed. Alright, and with that set back into place, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to clean up all this gunk I got on these threads. As soon as I do that, I'm just going to do the reverse order. I'm going to put this all back together, nuts and bolts. Hopefully I didn't mess with my alignment. Sometimes you do this stuff, you need a new wheel alignment, so let's hope. But go ahead and put it back together in the reverse order that we took it apart, and that's how you do your CV axles. The other side, for the driver's side, it's gonna be a little bit different. So the driver's side is gonna be into the transmission box, so we need to make sure we put something underneath the transmission, like a catcher, liquid catcher, like oil pan or something like that, because it is going to leak out with transmission fluid. So let's go ahead and make sure we catch that, we don't make a mess or anything. If you guys like the video, subscribe, like, comment, and share. Let me know how you guys like it and if there's any other videos that we can put together for you.